Once again, we'd like to turn to John 21. John 21. Read the first 14 verses. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias, and on this wise showed he himself. There were together Simon, Peter, and Thomas, called Didymus, and Nathanael, of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and two other of his disciples. Simon Peter saith unto them, I go a-fishing. They say unto him, We go with thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. Then said Jesus unto them, Children, have ye any meat? They answered him, No. And he said unto them, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Therefore that disciple whom Jesus loved, which would be John, saith unto Peter, It is the Lord. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes. As soon as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Jesus said unto them, Bring of the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. Jesus saith unto them, Come and dine. And none of his disciples durst ask him, Who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. Jesus then cometh, and taketh bread, and giveth them, and fish likewise. This is now the third time that Jesus showed himself to the disciples, after that he was risen from the dead. Again, this is a post-resurrection event in which Jesus showed himself to his disciples or the apostles. It's the third time that he has done so. And again, the first two took place in a structure of some kind in Jerusalem, and now there's some 60 miles northeast of there at the Sea of Tiberias, the Sea of Galilee. I want to develop the thought of the message around verses 3 and 4, where we read verse 3, that night, and then in verse 4, but when the morning was now come. So, from verses 3 to 4, there is a transition from night to morning. In verse 4, it's a new day. A new day. And in this passage, we want to just notice some principles for a new day. Principles for everyday life. Our subject is the start of a new day. The start of a new day. Before we consider these principles, in verse 3, again there is a that night. That night. And as we've already seen, it would have been a night of futility, a night of ineffectiveness, a night of perplexity, fatigue, and frustration, and disappointment. That night, nothing. Sadly, some of the saved by grace, that's where they live. That's where they stay. That night, nothing. I believe many are trapped in that night. But it doesn't have to be, because we read in verse 4, but when the morning was now come. So it's no longer that night. Again, but when the morning was now come. The first word, but, shows a contrast. There's something hopeful about the morning. There's opportunity in the morning. It's the start of a new day. Now, we can, and many times do, and some live their whole life this way. You can take the futility and the ineffectiveness and the perplexity and the fatigue and the frustration and the disappointment of that night and carry it over into the morning. And that's how you stay in that night. And that's how a lot of people live their lives. But it's the start of a new day here in our text. And the opportunity of that day begins with Jesus stood on the shore. The opportunity of the day begins with Jesus. Jesus. That's true every morning. And Jesus is on the shore for these apostles. He is what they need, and He is there for them. Jesus stood on the shore. Those are wonderful words. Speaks of His presence. The one who rose victorious over sin, death, and the grave, stood on the shore. The one who was greater than the nothing of that night stood on the shore. The one who loved them stood on the shore. Why is He there? He's there for them. He stood on the shore. He is there, and He can right that night. He can make it all right. He can make it all different. And He stood on the shore. So that's a wonderful opportunity. Wonderful possibilities. A wonderful privilege is theirs. And every day that you and I live, the morning was now come. That's true every day. And I assure you, Jesus is there. He's there. And He's there for us. You might have a that night. We all have them. A that night, nothing. But don't let that cause you to lose sight of a new day. Don't drag that into the new day, creating another that night. Then Jesus said unto them, verse 5. And again He addressed them, children. So Jesus was there, and He spoke to them. What an opportunity. What a possibility is now theirs. So again, we want to notice the events of the morning of that day. And just gather some principles that we need to put into practice at the start of every new day. And I'm telling you, it'll make a difference. Number one, realize personal need. Verse 5, Jesus standing on the shore, and He asked them, children, have ye any meat? So what did He do? He got their attention. It's morning, the start of a new day. Jesus has their attention. We need to start every day like that. Our attention needs to be upon Him. He spoke directly to them. And when Jesus asked that question, did He not know that they had caught nothing? Yes, He did. He knew everything that had transpired that night. What He's doing is He's bringing them to openly acknowledge and confess that in and of themselves we have nothing. We need to start each day knowing that in and of ourselves, I can't do this. I can't do this. Again, they knew how to fish. They knew when to fish. They knew where to fish. They had the right equipment. They put forth the effort. They knew what they were doing, and yet they caught nothing. At the start of every new day, realize, acknowledge, confess, we are a needy people. And it's not this day, this new day, is not dependent upon our skill and ability. We need something else. It is the realization, the acknowledgement, and the confession of the truth stated in John 15:4 and 5. Without me, ye can do nothing. We need to start the day that way. He needs to have our attention. Our attention needs to be upon Him. So be sure, at the start of a day, don't wait till the day's 3/4 over. At the start of the day, that He has our attention, that we're focused upon Him, and realize and acknowledge, I need Him. I have no idea what this day is going to bring forth. I need Him. That we do know. We don't know what's going to happen on any given day, but I do know this, I need Him. And I need Him at the start of the day. Secondly, hear the Lord's direction. Again, verse 6. Cast the net on the right side of the ship. He instructs them. Every day, the Lord is there, and every day the Lord has direction for us. Realize and acknowledge that no matter how much knowledge, no matter how much skill that we may have, no matter how much effort we might be willing to put forth, the Lord is in control, and He knows. And He has something for us to do. Notice that Christ's instruction was very plain. Cast the net on the right side of the ship. No one had to say, Lord, what do you mean? Cast the net, or you mean this net? No, the net you don't have. Cast the net on the right side of the ship. Why not the left side? Because I said the right side. Why not in front? Because I said the right side. Quit arguing with God and just do what He says. What a way to live. Life would be so much easier. So Christ's instruction was very plain. It still is. It still is. It's very straightforward. Cast the net on the right side of the ship. The instruction was very easily understood. It was very easily comprehended. And we need to know this. The Lord has instruction to direct our path. And that instruction will make a difference in our day. It'll make a difference in our entire day. Start the day. Attention upon Him. Listening for His direction. Thirdly, obey the instruction of the Lord. Verse 6, they cast therefore. The therefore simply means because the Lord said to. You don't need any other reason. Well, Lord, why do you want me to do that? Doesn't matter. He said to do it, you do it. It's that simple. Again, we need to quit arguing with the Lord. He said, cast the net on the right side. They cast therefore. They, again, had no doubt cast their net on that side earlier, and they caught nothing. But without question, without hesitation, without any attempt to alter or discuss the instruction, they simply did what God said. That needs to be us every day. There's no need to alter His direction. Someone may say, well, I need to alter it to fit my circumstances. He knows your circumstances when He gives you the direction. You don't need to alter anything. Just do what He says. Just do what He says. It's not open for discussion. There's no need to discuss. Just do what He says. So they simply do what the Lord said, and the difference between nothing and a full net was obedience to the Lord. That's it. They simply did what God said. Verse 6, again, they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Weren't able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. There is an abundance in following the Lord. We don't lose by following Him, by following His direction. At the start of a day, obey Him. Obey Him. You need to do it at the start of the day, because you can ruin your day at the start of the day by not obeying. And you'll carry that into the night, and you'll continue to disobey, and you'll carry it in the next day, and on you go. And pretty soon, guess what? That's your life. It doesn't have to be that way. Fourthly, recognize the Lord. Verse 7, John says to Peter, it's the Lord. It's the Lord. Verse 12, knowing that it was the Lord. At the start of a day, recognize the Lord. Recognize Him at the very start of the day. That's before you do anything else, before you have your coffee, before you do anything. Recognize the Lord. Fifthly, seek to be near Him. Notice verse 7. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from the land. They knew it was the Lord, and now they seek to be closer to Him. Knowing that it was Christ, and with a heart beating for Him, Peter casts himself into the sea, swims about 100 yards. The other 6 row about 100 yards. And they're all moving in the same direction. In the direction of Christ. Again, we say it all the time. Throughout a day, you need to stop. And you need to just make a check. Which direction am I going? Which direction am I going? We need to be moving in His direction. And we need to do that at the beginning of the day. If you don't do it at the beginning of the day, you may not do it all day long. Do it at the beginning of the day. Move in the direction of God. They were overcome with a longing to be near Him. I imagine they were tired, but that didn't matter, because their longing to be near Him overrides everything else. And so they began to move toward Him. They are going beyond where they are to seek Him. Again, He's on the shore. They're 100 yards out into the Sea of Galilee. They have to leave there to get to Him. But in doing so, they're moving to another level. And it's a priority. Jesus is on the shore. They're moving toward Him. And that's a priority in their life. I've got to get close to Him. At the start of a new day, seek nearness to Christ. Sixthly, realize that the Lord has intentionally and deliberately made preparation for what I need today. He is not only what I need, He has also made preparation for me. Now notice verse 9. As soon as they were come to land, they saw fire of coals and fish laid thereon. This isn't their fish. The Lord already had fish. Fish laid thereon, and there was more, and bread. So there's Jesus on the shore. They're 100 yards out in the sea. Jesus has prepared for them, has provided for them a fire for warmth, for comfort. And He's also provided fish and bread for their sustenance. In other words, He has what is sufficient. He has what is satisfying. He has what is sustaining. Now notice verse 9. They saw. They saw. They saw what God had prepared for them. It's the start of the day. God had prepared a fire for them. They see it. They recognize it. He had also provided fish and bread, which should remind them of His miraculous feeding of the multitudes. And thank God for His reminders of His miraculous provision. We forget. We forget from one day to the next what God has done for us. But if you get focused on the Lord and you listen to Him, there will be a reminder, I did this for you yesterday. Therefore you can depend upon it. We need to be reminded. Notice verse 10. Jesus saith unto them, bring of the fish which ye have now caught. I believe that would remind them of another miraculous catch of fish that is recorded in Luke chapter 5. Again, the Lord reminds us of His miraculous provision in our life. Then notice verse 11. Simon Peter went up and drew the net. The others, they were trying to drag the net before and they couldn't do it. But Simon Peter by himself now goes out and draws the net to land full of great fishes. And his strength was increased. Just seeing what the Lord had prepared for him, Peter was strong enough to do what all the others couldn't do. Did it by himself. He has sevenfold strength here. It's a reminder of Isaiah 40:29 through 31. Wait on the Lord, and He shall renew thy strength. Wait, I say, on the Lord. At the start of a new day, know and recognize that the Lord has made provision. The Lord has made provision. It's not enough for you and I to just look at the provision, which brings us to number 7, dine with Him. Verse 12, Jesus saith unto them, come and dine. Come. That's an invitation. It's an invitation to partake of what He has provided. It's an invitation to partake of His refreshment, His substance, His fellowship. Come and dine. Or come and dine with me. Come and dine. He did not merely say dine, but He said come and dine. And then notice verse 13. Jesus then cometh and taketh bread and giveth them, and fish likewise. He gave them what they needed. He gave it to them. He handed it right to them. This is how you start a day. This is how you have a good day. Then, eighthly, as the text goes on, without going into the detail, verses 15 through 17, he asked Peter, "Lovest thou me more than these?" And I've heard that preached, that Christ was saying, "Peter, do you love me more than these fish?" Come on, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's not what he's asking. Remember what Peter said. "Though all deny thee," not me, Lord, not me. I love you more than all the rest. And I believe that's what Jesus is referring to. Peter, lovest thou me more than these? Do you love me more than all these others? He is bringing Peter to realize something about himself, but he's also bringing Peter to reaffirm his love. Peter would reply 3 times. He asked the question 3 times because Peter denied the Lord 3 times. And Peter answered 3 times, "Thou knowest that I love thee." And he did. I don't believe anyone can rightfully question Peter's love. He loved the Lord. But like you and I, he loved the Lord, but not as much as he should. We never do. "Thou knowest that I love thee." At the start of a new day, declare your love for the Lord. Just say, "Lord, I love you." How often in a day do we stop and say that? We need to start the day. "Lord, I love you." Ninthly, as an account goes on between Christ and Peter, we need to realize that we have a service to do. He told Peter, "If you love me, feed my lambs, feed my sheep, feed my sheep." Those were the 3 responses of Christ. This was his duty. The Lord is saying, "Peter, this is what I want you to do." And everything must center around what the Lord wants us to do. You don't fit in what the Lord wants you to do into your day. No, your day must revolve around what the Lord wants you to do. Your day must revolve around your duty to God. It's not fitted in as best as you can. Because guess what? It's not getting fit in. Life takes over. And God is put to the side. So everything must center around this. What the Lord would have me to do. Everything becomes subservient to this. At the start of a new day, recognize I have a duty to God. Yes, we have duties to other individuals, maybe a company. We have duties. That's life. But our main duty in life is the Lord. And everything else is subservient to that. And then lastly, number 10, verse 19, "This spake he signifying by what death he should glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he saith unto him, Follow me." Peter, this is what I want you to do. In your other duties, this is how you carry them out. Follow me. Verse 22, Jesus said unto him, If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me. See, when the Lord first said to Peter in verse 19, Follow me, Peter turns and he sees John standing there and he says, Well, what about him? And Jesus says here, if I will that he tarry till I come. If I will that he does nothing. That's not your business, Peter. You follow me. There's a valuable lesson there. Don't get caught up in what others aren't doing. You do what you're supposed to do. Well, what about them? It doesn't matter. Doesn't change. Follow me. Follow me. That is a call to himself. It is a call to separation. You have to separate and follow him. It is a call for him to have preeminence. Every day. Every day. Follow me. It is a call to imitate him. It is a call to be committed to him. It is a call to focus upon Christ. A lot's going to happen in this day. You follow me. Peter, you just follow me. He doesn't tell Peter everything that's going to happen, but he says, whatever happens, you follow me. You follow me. He tells Peter, this is how you're going to die. But you follow me. You follow me. That's all that matters. Follow me. He's calling upon Peter, trust me. We need to start the day that way. Follow me. It is a call to go after him. It is a call to be in pursuit of him. Follow me. We can't do that unless we're watching him. So it's a call to watch him. It is a call to listen to him. It is a call to take him as our model. Follow me. And that's to start as soon as we get up. As soon as we awake. Focus. Focus upon Christ. Don't focus upon the happenings of the day. Don't drag the happenings of the day into the next day. Focus upon Christ and carry that over into the next day. That's how you start a day. And what wonderful days we would have. We need to see him as he reveals himself to us. We need to see him in a way that impacts our life. That impacts our life. We need to see him in a way that impacts our day. And then day after day after day, you have a life. We need to get self out of the way. Every day. We need to get self out of the way. Give him the preeminence. I'm telling you, there's no better way to live life, and you will enjoy life. For a child of God, life is to be a joy. Yes, there's sadness and trials and all those things. But life's to be a joy. And it will be if we do it right. There is a right way to live. And he's the way. What a way to start a day. Night, but a new morning has come. Brother Dave, if you'd come and